The complete guide to better sleep and lower stress for a healthier life. In today's world, many people are always tired, always busy, and always carrying more stress than they realize. They wake up feeling like they never truly rested. They move through the day with brain fog, low energy, tension, and irritability. At night, they finally lie down, hoping to relax, but their mind keeps racing. They think about work, money, family, responsibility, mistakes, and everything they still need to do. Then the cycle begins again the next day. For many people, this has become normal. Being exhausted is normal. Feeling overwhelmed is normal. Sleeping badly is normal. Living in a constant state of pressure is normal, but normal does not mean healthy. Sleep and stress are deeply connected, and together they affect almost every part of life. They influence mood, concentration, energy, appetite, immunity, weight, heart health, blood sugar, relationships, and overall well-being. When sleep is poor and stress is high, everything feels harder. Healthy food choices become harder, exercise feels harder, patience feels harder, focus feels harder, even small problems feel bigger. The good news is that better sleep and lower stress are not only possible, they are powerful. Improving these two areas can create a ripple effect across your entire life. You may feel calmer, think more clearly, have more energy, make better decisions, and feel more capable in your daily routine. In this video, we are going to talk about sleep and stress in a practical and realistic way. We will cover why they matter so much, why so many people struggle, what poor sleep and chronic stress do to the body, and most importantly, what habits can help you feel more rested, more balanced, and more in control. Because real health is not about what you eat or how often you work out. It is also about whether your body and mind ever get a chance to recover. Let's start with one important truth. Sleep is not a luxury, and stress is not harmless just because it is common. Sleep is one of the most important biological functions in the human body. It is not wasted time. It is not laziness. It is not something extra that only lucky people can afford. Sleep is when body and brain do the same of their most important repair work. During sleep, the body supports recovery, hormone regulation, immune function, memory processing, tissue repair, and nervous system balance. The brain also uses sleep to organize information, clear waste products, and restore mental function. This is why a lack of sleep affects so many areas of life so quickly. When people do not sleep well, they often notice the obvious effects first. They feel tired, unfocused, moody, and less patient. But the impact goes much deeper than that. Poor sleep can affect hunger hormones, blood sugar regulation, stress hormones, inflammation, reaction time, and emotional stability. It can increase cravings, reduce exercise performance, lower productivity, and strain relationships. Many people underestimate sleep because they are used to running on too little of it. They learn to push through fatigue with caffeine, under, adrenaline, and habit. But functioning is not the same as thriving. A person can still go to work and complete tasks while being under recover in ways that quietly damage their health over time. Quality matters too. A person may spend enough time in bed but still wake up under refreshed if sleep is fragmented. shallow, or disrupted. True rest is not only about hours, it is also about depth and consistency. When sleep improves, people often notice more than just less tiredness. They think more clearly, their mood becomes more stable, their hunger becomes easier to manage, they recover faster, their impatience improves, their patience improves, life starts to feel less heavy. This is why sleep deserves much more respect than it usually gets. It's not optional maintenance, it is foundation care. Stress is a normal human response. In the right situations, it can help you react, focus, and protect yourself. The problem is not that stress exists. The problem is when stress becomes chronic and the body spends too much time in a state of tension and alertness. When you are stressed, the body releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones are useful in short bursts. They prepare you to respond to challenge. Heart rate increases, blood pressure may rise, and your body shifts into a more alert state. This response is helpful if you need to deal with a short-term threat, but modern stress is not often short-term, it is ongoing. Bills, deadlines, family pressure, uncertainty, noise, digital overload, lack of rest, emotional burden, and non-stop stimulation keep many people in constant stress cycle. Over time, chronic stress can affect digestion, sleep, appetite, blood pressure, blood sugar, inflammation, mood, and immune function. It can help people feel mentally tired but physically unable to relax. It can lead to headaches, muscle tension, irritability, emotional eating, and low motivation and a constant sense of pressure. Stress also changes behavior. When people are overwhelmed, they often reach for convenience foods, skip workouts, sleep less, isolate more, and become more reactive. This means stress does not only affect the body directly, it also affects the daily habits that support health. Another important point is that stress is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is not a major life crisis. Sometimes it is a slow accumulation of small things. Poor boundaries, poor sleep, overstimulation, too much screen time, no quiet time, too many obligations, and not enough recovery. Understanding stress matters because many people blame themselves for symptoms that are actually signs of overload. They think they are lazy, unmotivated, or weak, when in reality, their nervous system has been under too much pressure for long. Stress management is not about becoming perfectly calm all the time. It's about learning how to help the body come back down instead of living constant survival mode. Sleep and stress influence each other in both directions. High stress often leads to poor sleep, and poor sleep makes people more vulnerable to stress the next day. This creates a cycle that can feel difficult to escape. When you are stressed, the mind tends to stay active at night. You may replay conversations, think about tomorrow, worry about the future, or feel physically restless even when the body is tired. The nervous system struggles to shift down from idleness into rest. Then, when you do not sleep well, your emotional resilience drops the next day. Small frustrations feel bigger, patience gets weaker, cravings get stronger, concentration gets worse. Your body may produce more stress hormones, and your brain becomes less able to regulate emotion calmly. This is why people often feel trapped when they stress because they are not sleeping, and they are not sleeping because they are stressed. Breaking this cycle usually requires helping both sides. You improve sleep habits while also reducing the factors that keep the nervous system to activated. In some cases, that means changing what happens at night. In other cases, it means changing what happens all day long. If the body spends the whole day overloaded, overstimulated, rushed, and tense, it will not always know how to switch off immediately at bedtime. Rest begins long before your head touches the pillow. That is why better sleep is not only about what you do in bed, it is also about what you do with stress, light exposure, movement, food, caffeine, screens, and emotional pressure during the day. Sometimes people do not realize how much poor sleep and stress are affecting them because the symptoms build gradually and start to feel normal. Some of the most common signs include waking up tired even after being in bed for many hours, needing a lot of caffeine to function, feeling mentally foggy, having trouble focusing, feeling emotionally reactive, getting irritated easily, and struggling with motivation. Other signs include strong cravings for sugar or processed foods, relying on foods for comfort, trouble exercise consistently, headaches, muscle tension, digestive discomfort, restlessness, trouble relaxing, waking up in the middle of the night, and feeling tired but wired. Some people also notice that they constantly feel like they are behind. Even when they sit still, they do not feel truly at ease. Their body may be physical still, but their mind is still racing. Chronic stress and poor sleep can also affect relationships. You may become less patient, more sensitive, more withdrawn, more reactive. The effects are not only private, they show up in how you live with other people. Recognizing these signs matters because awareness is the first step toward change. A lot of people are trying to fix their energy, cravings, focus, and mood without realizing that sleep and stress may be at the root of the problem. One reason so many people struggle with sleep and stress is that modern life constantly pushes the nervous system in the opposite direction of rest. People spend much of the day in front of screens, notifications never stop, news is always available, social media encourages comparison, stimulation, and endless scrolling. Work follows people home through phones and laptops. Many people are mentally on from morning until late night. There is also a cultural problem. In many environments, being busy is treated like success. Rest is seen as weakness and laziness. People feel guilty for slowing down, even when they are exhausted. Productivity is praised, but recovery is often ignored. Artificial light is another issue. Bright screens late night can interfere the body's natural sleep signals, especially when used right before bed. Meanwhile, many people get too little natural light during the day, which can also affect circadian rhythm. Caffeine, irregular schedules, late heavy meals, poor bowel diaries, financial stress, family demands, and the lack of quiet time all added to the problem. In other words, poor sleep and chronic stress are not only personal failures, they are often the result of an environment that constantly overstimulates the body and mind. That does not mean change is impossible, but it does mean that improving sleep and stress often requires going against some of the unhealthy patterns modern life encourages. Good sleep usually depends on a combination of rhythm, environment, behavior, and nervous system regulation. One of the most important factors is consistency. The body likes rhythm. Going bed and waking up at roughly similar times help support your internal clock. Another important factor is light. Morning daylight helps signal to the brain that the day has started, which supports a healthier sleep-wake cycle later. On the other hand, bright light at night can make it harder for the body to produce the signals that support sleepiness. The sleep environment matters too. A room that is dark, quiet, and comfortable often supports better rest. Even small changes like reducing noise, cooling the room a little, or limiting disrupted light can help. Food and substance matter as well. Too much caffeine late in the day can interfere with sleep. Having meals right before bed may cause discomfort for some people. Alcohol may make the people feel sleepy at first, but it often reduces sleep quality later at the night. Mental wind down is another key piece. The body might be tired, but if the mind is still full of stimulation and worry, better can be delayed. A calming transition matters. And finally, movement helps. Regular physical activity often supports deeper sleep, though very intense exercise right before bed can be too stimulating for some people. Healthy sleep is not about all one trick. It is about creating conditions that tell the body it is safe to slow down. A bedtime routine does not need to be complicated, but it should help your mind and body move from stimulation into rest. One of the simplest things you can do is create a transition period before bed. Instead of working, scrolling, or solving problems until final minute, allow yourself some time to sit down. That might include dimming lights, putting away stress tasks, reducing screen use, taking a warm shower, stretching gently, reading something calming, listening to soft music, or practicing slow breathing. The purpose is not to create a perfect ritual. It is to teach your body that sleep is approaching. For people whose minds race at night, journaling can help. Writing down tomorrow's tasks, worries, or thoughts may reduce the need to keep mentally rehearsing them in bed. Some people also benefit from repeating the same basic sequence each night. Repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity can reduce resistance to sleep. A good bedtime routine should feel calming, not demanding. If it becomes one more thing to perform perfectly, it loses some of its value. The key is consistency and simplicity. You are not trying to impress anyone, you are trying to help your nervous system feel safe enough to let go. Many people are surprised by how much their daily habits influence sleep quality. Caffeine is one of the biggest examples. It can be useful in moderation, but if it's consumed too late in the day, it may still be active in the body at bedtime. It can make this can make it harder to fall asleep or reduce sleep depth even if someone technically fall asleep. Alcohol is another common issue. Some people use it to relax, and it may make them feel sleepy at first, but alcohol that often disrupts sleep later at night, leading to lighter, more fragmented rest. Food master too. Going to bed extremely hungry may make sleep harder for some people, while every while very heavy or rich meals close to bedtime may cause discomfort or reflux. A balanced middle ground usually works better. Sugar-related night snacks can also cause energy fluctuations that may interfere with the rest in some people, especially when they become part of a stress eating cycle. The goal is not perfection, it is awareness. If sleep is poor, it helps to ask whether your evening habits are quietly contributing to the problem. One of the reasons stress feels so physically exhausting is that it changes the way many people eat and move. When stress is high, some people lose their appetite, but many others experience the opposite. They crave sugar, salty snacks, comfort foods, and fast energy. Highly processed foods often feel especially attractive when the brain is tired and looking for relief. This is not just a willpower issue. Stress changes both physiology and behavior. It can increase cravings, reduce patience, and make cooking or planning feel much harder. Poor sleep amplifies this even more. When people are tired, they often feel hungry and less satisfied. They want quick comfort and stimulation. That is why low sleep and high stress often show up as emotional eating, constant snacking, skip workouts, and energy crashes. This is also why solving nutrient problems sometimes requires solving recovery problems first. Better sleep and lower stress often make healthy eating easier without needing so much force. The more regulated your body feels, the easier it becomes to make calmer choices. Exercise is often discussed in terms of fitness or weight, but one of the most powerful benefits is how it supports the nervous system. Regular movement helps release physical tension, regulate mood, reduce stress, and support better sleep. It does not have to be intense. In fact, some of the best forms of movement or stress relief are simple and sustainable. Walking is especially useful. It can calm the mind, support circulation, create space from stress thoughts, and gently reset the nervous system. Walking outside adds the extra benefits of daylight and a break from screens. Strength training, yoga, stretching, dancing, swimming, and cycling also help, depending on the person. The key is finding movement that helps you feel better instead of more burdened. When life is already stressful, the best exercise is often that the one supports recovery instead of adding pressure. Movement is not just a way to burn energy, it's a way to regulate energy. Many people are physically tired but mentally overstimulated. Their body wants rest, but their attention is constantly being pulled in different directions. This is why quiet time matters. Quiet time is not laziness, it is not doing nothing, it is making room for your mind to stop absorbing input for a while. This may mean sitting without your phone, going for a walk without media, taking a few deep breaths before reacting, journaling, praying, meditating, or simply allowing yourself a few minutes without constant noise. Boundaries matter too. Not every message needs an immediate response. Not every problem needs to solve at night. Not every moment of silence needs to be filled with scrolling. People often think they need more time to feel less stressed, but sometimes what they really need is less stimulation and clear boundaries around their attention. Calm does not always come from escaping life. Sometimes it comes from reducing unnecessary internal and external noise. Stress management is often presented in overly perfect ways, as if everyone has time for long morning routines, meditation retreats, or hours for self care. Real life is usually messier than that. Practical stress management starts with simple questions. What is draining me most right now? What am I carrying that I do not have to carry alone? What small habit has me feel calmer? Where do I need better boundaries? For some people, stress management may mean getting more organized. For others, it means asking for help, resting more, saying no more often, spending less time on social media, or dealing with a problem they have been avoiding. Helpful tools can include breathing exercises, walking, stretching, journaling, talking to someone you trust, therapy, prayer, music, time in nature, and shorter but more intentional breaks during the day. The point is not to eliminate all stress. The point is to create enough recovery and regulation that stress does not control your body all the time. Racing thoughts at night are a common problem, especially for people who are under pressure. The body is tired, but the brain refuses to settle. This often happens because the day was too full, too fast, too noisy, or too unresolved. Bedtime becomes the first moment when the mind has enough quiet to notice everything it was suppressing. One useful strategy is to reduce nighttime mental load before getting into bed. Write down tomorrow's tasks, journal your worries, make a simple plan that can signal to the brain that it does not need to keep holding everything at once. Another useful approach is to fighting the thoughts with panic. The more people try to fall asleep, the more frustrated they often become. A gentle response usually works better. Slow breathing, calming audio, soft reading, or simply letting thoughts pass without following every one of them may help. If racing thoughts are intense and persistent, especially when linked to anxiety, professional support may also be helpful. Sometimes the issue is not only sleep hygiene. Sometimes deeper mental strain needs attention. One common mistake is trying to solve exhaustion with caffeine while ignoring the real problem. Another is waiting until bedtime to relax, even though the whole day has been overstimulating. Many people also assume that they can catch up on sleep forever without consequences. While extra sleep can help after short-term sleep debt, chronic poor sleep is not something the body simply forgets. Another mistake is treating rest like a reward instead of needed. People push themselves until they crash, then wonder why everything feels harder. Some also fill every spare moment with screens, which keep the mind constantly activated. And one of the biggest mistakes of all is thinking that stress is harmless just because it's common. Common does not mean safe. Common does not mean sustainable. If your sleep is poor and your stress is high, do not try to fix everything overnight. That usually creates more pressure. Start with a few basics. Wake up at a more consistent time, get daylight exposure in the morning, reduce screens before bed, cut back on late caffeine, create a simple wind down routine, make your body during the day, give your mind some quiet time. Notice that, notice what is keeping you overstimulated and reduce what you can. That is already a strong beginning. Once those bases feel more natural, you can build on them. Maybe you improve the bedroom environment. Maybe you journal at night. Maybe you reduce social media use. Maybe you ask for support. The goal is not to become perfectly calm or perfectly rested overnight. The goal is to have your body trust rest again. Sleep and stress affect far more than just how you feel at the end of the day. They affect how you think, how you eat, how you react, how you move, how you recover, and how you experience your life. When sleep is poor and stress is constant, even simple things feel heavier. When sleep improves and stress becomes more manageable, life often feels more possible. You think more clearly, you feel more patient, you have more energy, you make better choices, you feel more like yourself. That is why rest matters. That is why recovery matters. That is why calming the nervous system is not weakness. It is health. You do not need to solve everything today. You just need to start creating better conditions for your body and mind to recover. One earlier bedtime at a time, one calmer evening at a time, one walk at a time, one boundary at a time, one deeper breath at a time. Because a healthier life is not built through effort, it is also built through recovery.